A TikTok clip that was supposed to be funny and encourage shoppers to buy clothes on Lazada backfired and resulting in many netizens boycotting the shopping platform instead. The controversy was sparked when a clip created by transgender influencer Aniwat Pratumtin, aka Nara Crepe Kathoy, hit the net to promote Lazada's 5.5 sale. Lazada Group was founded in 2012 and fast became a leading e-commerce platform in Southeast Asia, with operations in Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Vietnam, and Thailand. In fact, it became so popular in Thailand that Alibaba Group bought its operations here and made it the regional flagship for Alibaba Group. Aniwat, who made a name for herself by campaigning against the less majest law, sparked an uproar when she posted the clip on her TikTok page. The clip also featured fellow influencer Thidapon Nurat Chao Kuwiang, who plays the part of a disabled woman of noble birth dressed in a traditional costume. The clip shows Nara accusing Thidapon of stealing her clothes. However, instead of encouraging people to buy clothes, this so-called campaign drew harsh criticism and calls for people to boycott Lazada immediately. As of May 6, the Ban Lazada hashtag in Thai social media platform had attracted up to 102,000 retweets, with many netizens saying that they had deleted their Lazada app. Many netizens also offered information on how Lazada accounts can be deactivated. Some netizens cried foul because they considered the clip offensive to disabled people, while royalists accused the influencer of making an oblique reference to a royal by the way Thidapon was dressed and even her hairstyle. The furore drew immediate apologies from Intersect Design Factor, the advertising agency that had hired the two influencers, and from Lazada. The shopping platform issued an apology on the morning of May 6, saying the incident was an unacceptable mistake and a result of our oversight. Our brand does not condone the mockery of others, including those with disabilities. It is absolutely unacceptable and a breach of Lazada's value of being respectful and inclusive, Lazada said in its apology. Intersect Design Factory also said it had no intention of mocking the disabled or any individual in particular. However, Aniwat's refusal to issue a public apology or show regret has only added fuel to the fire. In a television interview, the influencer was heard saying that anyone has the right to wear a traditional costume, referring to the attire Thidapon was dressed in. She also said that the so-called reference to a royal was imagined by netizens. The issue further escalated when Army Chief General Narongpanjit Kaew announced on Monday that he has banned members of all military units to stop buying goods from Lazada. He also banned all Lazada delivery trucks and motorbikes from entering an army compound. Then on May 10th, he announced that the Lazada boycott was aimed at protecting the monarchy. The Navy and the Royal Thai Air Force followed suit. The government also joined in, with Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha voicing concern about the clip on May 7 and noting that Thais love and respect the monarchy. The Digital Economy and the Society Ministry also instructed the Police Technology Crime Suppression Division to check if the TikTok clip violated any laws. Then on May 11th, Prime Minister's Office Minister Anucha Nakasai said the clip may be in violation of Section 22 of the Consumer Protection Act. This clip and the public sentiment it sparked reverberated so much that the Chinese embassy stepped in on May 13 to say the ad was unacceptable. In a Facebook post, the embassy said it was aware of the incident and shares the same view that the content in the video is unacceptable. However, despite calls for a boycott, it is business as usual for Lazada. So far, only shops of royal projects like Doi Tung, Doi Kam, and Sitlada have suspended their sales via the platform. No other leading brands have joined the boycott. Citing case studies overseas, some marketing experts have said that such debacles only lead to boycotts for a short period, and the consumers soon forget the issue and return to their old shopping habits.
Welcome to Voice of the Nation. There has been an outcry in the Thai society in the last 2 weeks over an advertising by Lazada, which appeared to insult the younger sister of the king. The Thai army has boycotted the online retailer, and many customers have pulled out of Lazada application because of the backlash. Managing crisis in the workplace is a topic we'll be discussing today. Please welcome Kun Burin Hemthat, Managing Director of Kith and Kin Communication and Consultant. สวัสดีครับคุณบุรินทร์ครับ
ครับสวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับคุณบุรินทร์ Thanks for joining us today. What is crisis management?
Before we talking about the crisis management, I think we have to talking about crisis itself because originally the crisis in an ancient Greek is mean choice and also the direction, so it's not like a negative at all as we understand nowadays. Crisis mean choice and decision definitely is has to come for the first stage before it's turned to damage or the negative issue. That means you have a choice to choose. You have the direction to walk through which way that you choose. If you choose the wrong way, so it's going to be damage or nowadays we call it crisis for fully crisis. But if you choose the right direction, so it's going to be what we call is opportunity. So what is crisis management? So crisis management nowadays we means that a process that we have to plan and design to prevent or lessen, minimize the damage that happen and that can have an effect on the organization and also the stakeholder as well.
I see. So it means both choice and direction, and you have to make the right choice by making the right direction, the decision. And
yes, I would like to add more that when you make a choice, that means it's going to be the consequence follow up by your choice. So the consequence can be damage or the consequence can be the opportunity. So it depends on what you decided.
Okay, so with this definition and this understanding of crisis management, when we use this concept to the situation like Lazada fiasco now that we are seeing in what's going on now, can you make it in different issues of the problem that Lazada having now? So we're not blaming Lazada or anything, just use it as a case study.
For this case study, I think it's come to the crisis. That means it has already been the damage for the corporation and also the reputation of the corporation.
Right, we can see that really clearly. And you think that if you have to give advice to Lazada for now, after what happened, so what should you say about this?
Normally for the big corporation or the global company, normally they also having like crisis plan in advance. So they have to prepare for the crisis plan prior to what they have to predict in the future that's going to happen. Normally they're going to prepare all of the strategy. If this thing happen, what they're going to do. That means they have to predict for their decision and the consequence. If they make this decision, the consequence, if the consequence coming out as an X part, so what they're going to do, or if it's coming out as an Y part, what they're going to do.
Oh, I see. But I understand this because I used to talk with one big corporation, it's a global brand for drinking soda, and they launched an advertisement related to and some issues in the Thai society as well, like family issue. And then I asked them that how about do you have a backup plan or any plan B in case that you launch that advertisement and you get negative feedback. And that brand manager said they did a survey by testing the ad to focus group, and then they collect the possible negativity, and they think that they're gonna get complaints about 10%. So what they did, they asked, they told this in their company, including the operator, that it's possible that you will get a phone call complaining about the advertisement, and then they said that 10% is quite manageable, it's quite in the control. But in this case, I'm not sure that they have this plan that you mentioned. So from what you see, can you tell that do they have plan, or they don't have any plan at all?
I don't think that they have plan for this decision, because if they have plan, they're going to do what you have already explained.
Mm,
They have to predict what the consequence going to happen in the
mm,
future, and they have to prepare for the solution of
mhm,
this consequence, what they're going to do. But after the issue has been spread out all
mhm,
over the countries, that means I'm not sure that on the marketing side or their selling amount, selling of the revenue, they're going to
mm,
decrease or not. But
mm,
definitely for the reputation, it's going to be uh, has an effect on their
mhm,
reputation of the corporate as a
mhm,
whole.
mhm. So, let me go back a little bit about this. In the old day, when you launch something, it's like you have to prepare like huge preparation for advertisement. But these days, it's just like from from what we learn from the news and what in the reports, it seems like you hire somebody, and then somebody can produce anything, because you can have an influencer. An influencer, let influencer to be the creative himself.
I'm not sure that how they trust the influencer to produce or create their own
Uh-huh.
content without screening or without having a permission to be
Mm,
launched. So this is the
mhm,
key. Not just only for the corporate themselves, for the agency that they hiring for hire the influencers, for the
mhm,
agency duties, they have the responsibility to check
mhm,
and to give the permission for the
mhm,
influencer that the content that they create is okay and is good enough to be
mhm,
launched to the public.
mhm,
And the corporate themselves also have to take the responsibility as well for the
mhm.
content that's going to be released out in the name of the company.
Company, right? In this case, so we'll talk a little bit more on this, so that other people who not really follow this in details. Um, from the brand explain very little about the process, but the brand accept that they did not look into details well enough, which is not convincing to the
Surprisingly for
audience,
the Thai people
right?
as well, because if even though they are the international brand, but when they do the business in the certain country as Thailand, they have
Mm.
to check and they have to aware of the sensitive issue or social conflict in the local country as Thailand.
This is very quite important, even though they are international or local companies. Any content in the advertisement should be monitored very closely, and also be prepared, like we discussed before. So now it's already happened. How did you see the way the brand handle this issue? You think this is enough, or you think that anything else or other areas that the brand should have done but they haven't done?
So this is like a very sensitive issue,
Mm,
especially for Thai people as the nation. I'm not
mhm,
going to talking about which group that going
mhm,
to be okay for this issue or which
mhm,
group they are
mhm,
against on this issue, but I'm talking about the national as the whole, Thailand as a
mhm,
whole, as a nation.
mhm,
I think that this issue has very sensitive. It's
mhm,
like when you're doing the business, you have to have like a professional ethics that you
mhm,
have to concern about about the social issue, as I mentioned, and about religious, about the political, and about the social conflict in the country. So you should not touch that. So this case study is bring out that it's not. It should be 100% the responsibility of the company or the brand. So they have to coming out and show they're responsible on this issue. Even though the agency have already writing a letter to apology the social, but just apology, but they don't think about this kind of thing in that advance. The agency also owned by Thai people, so they have to know this issue before launching the campaigns. Even hiring the influencer, every Thai people also know that what is her political preference. Or hiring the person who has the certain political preference. So that means what they're going to do. So they're going to do according to their preference. So if you trust them to produce the contents by their own, so that means the content is going to be according to what they want, what the influencer want. So it's directly and 100% the responsibility of the agency. That if you want the influencer to do your job or to create the content for the brand, so you have to check for the content carefully. I'm afraid that maybe the influencer, maybe they have a million or a lot of followers on the social media, but if you expected just only the number of reach or the number of follower of the influencer, so it's the wrong thing as well. In nowadays, you cannot use it anymore because this group is going to be your direct target or not. You have to concern about that. And as I mentioned, that even though they have a lot of people, a lot of followers, but if the content they're talking about the sensitive issue, so you have to be aware of as well.
I think I think this day we use a lot of influencers and net idols, this and that, and it's important for like the very first priority. You have to check the background, what the stand, and also the what size and the values of the influencer are accepting or taking. But now because you use okay, you go on.
Not just only the political side, but you have to check the background of the influencer, what they have done in the past. Maybe they have done something that against the law that we didn't know, or they have the negative issue, negative news coming out in the past that's going to affect the brand reputation. So this is what you have to be aware of.
Right. It's just like you are hiring, like you're hiring staff this day. You also have to check their Facebook and
so
IG.
It's different from the influencer because the influencer is the public person.
I see.
So what you have done in the past, if you're doing something wrong nowadays, it's going to be happen nowadays as well.
You're gonna be on the record.
Yeah. People are going to dig down into your history, what you do in the past, if you're doing wrong nowadays.
So for in general, the issues that they use to be the main content in the advertisement is very sensitive. So it show that this make a big mistake one, and also the influencer as well, because people can check the background of the influencer. But now everything now happen like that. If you have to manage this, like you are the major consultant of this company or any other company that maybe have similar cases, what are you going to do?
The positioning of the company or the brand I think every brand that going to do the business here in Thailand or in any country in the world, so they have to be neutral. So that means they have to have the professional ethics that
Uh-huh.
what they can talk and what they cannot talk,
Mm,
especially the local context of each country that they
mm.
have to aware
Right,
of.
right, right.
Mm,
We understand this as well. And because this already happened and the
mm.
damage already there, how to fix the damage now after everything happened negatively to the brand like this?
So
You
I
think
think it's
that the brand can continue or anything else the brand can do or the actions that you take to calm down the people?
I think right now is quite difficult for them to
You are
to
going to say it's too late?
not really, but I think the brand has to show the real intention, what they're
Oh,
going to
mm,
responsible on
mm,
this issue. So I mean the responsible mean the action that they're going to do. For example, this is just my opinion
mm,
quickly. For example, if they're going to do the action to the agency that didn't taking care enough on this kind of issue, so they have
mm,
to action for the social to see that they're responsible on this issue. And also the brand themselves, they have to coming out and show their sincere and show their sympathize for what they have done and what they're going to do for maybe the management who didn't take care of this issue
mm,
as well. They have to do the action for Thai
mm,
people. So
mm,
I think just showing the action
mhm,
it can express a lot of things. That means okay,
mm,
this international brand they have already done some action and
mhm,
they're feeling apologize sincerely to Thai people already.
mm,
So they have to do
mm.
the action.
They have to do action. But so far, from what I seen, maybe I missed something. I've seen only I saw only apology letter, and I didn't see the top management doing anything
The
else.
top
Just that
management
letter.
is going to be the person who going to show up and present on this issue
Mm,
because if they assign some middle management or the second tier management,
mm,
it means that because the top management represent the whole company, people will
right.
believe what the top management, the number one people in the company, uh, going to represent the company themselves already because they are she or he in is in the highest position of the company, so
Mm,
people going to believe on that people.
mm.
If the
But
top
I haven't
management,
seen the top management yet.
that's right, that's right. So if the top management still keep silent and do nothing on this issue, people will still have a doubt that what happened on this kind of issue. Will it would it be the intention of the brand that would like to do something like this? So it's going to be like the question in the mind of the consumer.
I see. So from what you said now, I understand that what they did now, just like apology letters, I said we did something wrong, and that only in the words, and we are not seeing real actions that strong enough to convince the consumers and the Thai society that the brand did not intend, or the brand has clear direction for real. So people assume now the brand is taking side, and also behind the door is like supporting the issue himself. So that will stick to the brand in the long term. That
Yes,
this brand is just like that, right? So this is more damage to come.
yeah, this is going to be more dangerous for the brand. If they do
Mm,
nothing, people will believe that okay, they might taking on this kind of side.
mm-hmm,
and it will be in the consumer mind when
Mhm.
they decide to
Mhm.
buy from the brand.
Mhm. 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 I think let me
It's
go
very
back a little bit.
risky.
Why? Very risky now. Very risky now with
Mm.
the between let the issue die down, like let the people at the end we gonna forget. At the end we can at the
Yes,
end
I think
we gonna
at the
forget.
end people will forget, but if there has this kind of issue again, so people will believe that the brand taking side, especially on the political issue.
Right. I think in many cases in the old days too, not this case alone, management may think that in the news there's gonna be other news that more strong or more attracting the public interest than this, so that other news will cover up this and people gonna forget. So we're not supposed to do anything, just sit and wait and see what's going to be in the situation. What I feel that is that way now. That's why
In
I cannot
some issue,
tell. Right.
in some issue, it
In
can
some
be
issue.
like that. The top management or the company can stay
Mm,
silent. For example, if there has an accident or maybe fire accident or something like that happen to their factory or
mm,
uh, their property, but
mm,
if they do nothing, okay, people will the media will
mm,
cover the story about the fire and the
mm,
damage and
mm,
the effect on the people or community around the factory.
mm,
But if they do nothing, okay, people will forget that very
mm,
soon. But
mm,
the people in the community, they're not going to forget. They're going to they positioning the brand already, but because if they don't take any responsible for the community damage,
mm,
if
mm,
they want this kind of issue pass away,
mm,
so
mm,
the community will believe already that this band is not good enough, this
mm,
band is irresponsible, is
mm,
not responsible
mm,
for their community. So
mm,
I think it's quite similar to this case study
mm,
because if the company keeps silence, so that
mm,
means people will judge or people will
mm,
position the
mm,
brand and the company that taking the side on the political side, in which it
mm,
should not be on that way.
mm. I that leads me to think about like oil spill in Rayong
Mm,
earlier, and that damaged the brand, but it's accident.
mm,
Something people understand the accident they cannot control, like the
mm,
machines or engineering, that kind of stuff, and the damage to the nature and the life by the people living by this that area. But that contains area that affect one part of the section or the society. But for this case, it's just like the whole country, and it's
mm,
not causing life and death or anything, but it causing the feeling. And the
mm,
feeling is difficult to handle because people have different feelings, but now the negative feelings question the same thing on the brand. So you suggest that they should have done what they should have done is taking more actions,
that's
and the
right.
action may include like firing some people or like removing the CEO, or in this
Whatever
case
that showing the action.
showing
So
any
then
action, right?
yeah, so maybe have thinking about something less than firing people, or they can do anything for their internal policy to taking care of uh, people who responsible on this case
mm,
study.
I
And I
see.
think it's quite different from other kinds of crisis as well. Normally, the other kind of crisis, if it
Mm,
happen and the company take responsible on this
mm,
issue, that means, as we discussed earlier, so
mm,
when they have something happen, you
mm,
have to make the decision, and your
mm,
decision will affect the consequence. If
mm,
your decision designed to support the community or helping people, the consequence that mean people going to see your good cooperation as a reputation of the company. But on this case study, I think they playing around the social conflict. So it's quite different from other kinds of crisis that maybe is come from accident or come from the guilty of people. So, but this issue is about the social conflict in which is very sensitive for the country, for Thai people.
I see. I see. I think this may be the very case in the business sector that um, has this crisis related to the royal family, because in the old day we don't have this, and this may be really rare case and a very unique case for many people to study, and because it is the first, so they don't know how to handle it. It could be a good excuse, because this is quite the very first case in Thailand that a brand like seemingly going against no, not the real one. Just give an example. Going against the real family like this, and also maybe this time of Thailand, we are open more to talk about this issue, and that also very important for those in the business and management to rethink about this. They don't it in the future. I think nobody gonna do this because it's a real, really very big issue here. But for you now, can I ask you this? This the damage beyond repair, or you cannot repair? It can still repair and can continue with this brand.
I think it depends. As I mentioned earlier, that the brand value needs to be neutral. So that means this case study, the company have to show that intention to Thai people that are really, really neutral. And what they're going to do in the future, I'm not sure, but they have to create the policy or campaigns that going to taking concern on the social issue or the social conflicts, especially beware of the local context and sensitive issues that going to coming out. And the top management themselves, maybe he or she, as I mentioned, they have to take the responsible on these as soon as possible.
I see.
And talk to the public. Not just only apology, as I mentioned, they have to take an action. What they're going to do on these. I can see that playing with social conflict is not like the outcry of crisis. So that means you have to do something more beyond. And as I mentioned, it should be any action, that action to the agency or action to the responsible people who are in the company. So what they're going to do, they have to announce and they have to declare for the public, and they have to declare as well that in the future what will be their policy that they're going to do in Thailand.
I think that's variable advice and also very insights about crisis management for our audience today. If you are a manager, you are in the top management, or you're CEO, or you are a consultant, this is quite a unique case. But also, I believe there are going to be good solutions, and people will finally forgive and go on living without protesting or any complaints against the brand. I hope the brand will do well soon in the future, because we don't need we don't need like monopoly in the business. We need competition, right? So any last word from you?
I think in the couple of months, the brand has to do the monitoring, the news monitoring very closely. They have to do if they still have any effect from Thai people for both negative and positive way. So
Mm.
they have to analyze the situation and they have to prepare in advance what they would like to do to protect the reputation of the brand and also their business. Even more in the long term, as I mentioned, they have to setting up the policy, or maybe they have to have the crisis management plan earlier before the crisis happen. And another thing, I think they have to create like not just focus on the profit for the company only, but they have to do something for the communities, for Thai communities, for especially for supporting Thailand's sustainable development campaign, something like that. So let Thai people gain trust on the brand again.
โอเค that คุณ Burin เหมทัศน์ Managing Director of Kith and Kin Communication and Consultant ขอบคุณครับคุณ Burin ครับ
ขอบคุณครับคุณวิทยา
ครับ
สวัสดีครับ
And thanks for joining us today, Voice of Nation. We run this program every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. I'm วิทยาแสงอรุณ สวัสดีครับ